It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn.
Anthony.
I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to our guest.
All right, then. Go for it.
Okay. Hi, how are you guys?
Great. How are you guys?
I'm so excited because, like, there's very few brands that you can say in the industry that get me just out of my mind excited. And Hard Rock is one of them.
Hard Rock
so
is
now
one of
tell
them.
them who's here.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm very excited to have you all here today. Of course, I am Glenn, and today we have Mr. Andrea Melotti, VP of Operations of Hotels and Casinos, and Dale Hipsh, Senior Vice President of Hotels with Hard Rock. Andrea, I'm very nervous that I didn't pronounce your name right.
You did a fantastic job.
All right, thank you.
Are you half Italian?
No, I'm all Jewish, but I grew up on Long Island, so the Jews and the Italians are really the same thing.
Except the Italians are cooler. But anyway, where in Italy you from?
Says the Italian over here.
Born and raised in Rome, the capital.
So my father's from Civitavecchia. So it's
Civitavecchia?
Yeah, that's where he's from. Where you know, obviously.
I know Civitavecchia very well.
Yeah,
It's actually, we have a house on the way to Civitavecchia in Cervetri.
Yeah.
We can talk about that for the rest of the
I think
meeting.
that's like a much more fun topic than Hard Rock. Dale, where are you from?
Well, I'm about as far from Rome as you can get. I'm from the Redneck Riviera, the panhandle of Florida. No,
okay.
Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
I always say L.A. Really? Lower Alabama. So
I like that. So Hard Rock, as Anthony was saying, it's a very strong, well-defined brand. And when people hear it, they know exactly what it is all about. But what does Hard Rock really mean to you folks, Dale?
Well, I think what Hard Rock means to me as a hotelier is sort of a permission to create these amazing, authentic experiences that rock for our customers. So, we're here at the Forbes Summit here in Los Angeles, and what's great about being at a luxury summit is it's our background. Both Andrea and I come from luxury hospitality.
What hotels?
Yeah. Well, I was with Ritz-Carlton. Andrea was with the Intercontinental in Cannes and some amazing boutique luxury hotels in South Beach, the Betsy, I believe. And
Sagamore, the Raleigh.
I love the Betsy. What a great hotel. Can't have anyone in your room. It's so small, but great hotel.
So what's great about the Hard Rock brand is you get to have that foundation of great luxury hospitality and infuse it with the DNA of the brand, the music. And what we're able to do, hotel by hotel, is really look at what the terroir or the customer of that region are looking for musically and customize the experience for that guest, which really is a unique aspect of our brand.
Well, I got to tell you, I was being a hotel geek. As soon as you opened Atlantic City, I flew my...
It was a big deal, Atlantic City.
I flew my butt up there literally 2 days after you opened, maybe even the day after you opened.
I was there then, scrubbing the floors.
Okay, well, let me tell you something. It was the old Taj Mahal.
Yeah, it was.
And again, being a hotel geek, I mean, I walked in, I was like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to criticize. I'm ready to say...
It was amazing. It's
amazing.
amazing.
I knew it would be amazing. But I was still like, I was hyper alert. And I went through that building, and I had a hat on. I had my beard going on. I didn't want to be recognized. And I went through that building, and I got to tell you something. It was absolutely – it spoke to me.
Yeah.
It felt – this is what I remember from it. Like, so if I had to explain to someone, forget about just the brand itself, but just if I didn't know what brand it was, it felt fresh.
Yes.
That's the word I used when I walked through that lobby. It just felt fresh. It felt clean.
Right.
And I don't mean clean in a way that it was,
clean lines.
Scrubbed. Just clean lines, and just the air smelled better. It's just like it was like a different world.
I mean, if you'd seen the Taj, right, and we were in
we
there,
have.
and we were
have,
there when it was
unfortunately.
closed, and the directive from our chairman was, it has to be exactly as you described. What is the new, fresh take? How do we work with Jeffrey Beers International out of New York, which
Sure,
we
I know
partner
Jeffrey.
with a great
I
deal
worked with him a little bit.
He's amazing.
He
really
did the Intercontinental for us in Times Square.
Okay, fantastic.
You
He's
had-
doing the Hard Rock Hotel with us in Times Square.
Now,
so
Oh, okay.
You had a big project ahead of you because aesthetically speaking, it was very different than what you ended up with. I was not a fan of that particular design motif that they had.
Yes,
there.
it was strong.
And like what Anthony said, I was worried walking in what that experience was really going to be like, and I found it to be very different than anything I would have expected. I really loved it. I felt like I connected with it, and it was just very well done and beautiful. I think it was, $300 million you guys put into that?
Give or take, but who's counting? No, it's a lot more than that.
It was a lot more than that.
I thought it was $300 million to redesign it, but then on top of the purchasing cost.
On top of the purchasing cost, right.
Which was one of the best deals that you could
I mean, at the
imagine.
end of the day, we did get a good deal on it.
Oh, yeah.
And there's another hotel that just opened when the week you opened, and we won't go there.
They're already changed owners since
they're
the
already
summer.
in problems, and I called it as soon as I walked in because I walked into both of your hotels, and I called it. I went home and told my wife, Hard Rock is going to be like Borgata. It's going to be there forever. It helped save. Atlantic City was saved to me, this is my opinion, by the Borgata. Mm-hmm. Okay? It stayed afloat till you guys got there. And now together, you're going to bring back Atlantic City, in my opinion.
I hope so. And it's interesting to see that you wound up with the Taj project because I remember when Atlantic City changed the rules. Originally, that was so Hard Rock to build a smaller gaming hotel. Right. But then this opportunity came up and probably a lot less in terms of, to buy it and refurbish it than to build something new.
Well, they say life's what happens to you when you're making other plans. So,
all right, so using that as a model and talking about some of the other properties, what is your core customer and what experience are they looking for, both in a traditional hotel environment and a gaming resort environment?
Hairless to hairless, we call it. Now, that's the thing that is really unique about the brand, Hard Rock Hotels and Casinos. It's we actually are able, under the same umbrella brand, to give you an experience of a family resort, a second to none, the Hard Rock Hotel in Orlando. We can give you an adult experience in Cancun. We can give you a boutique luxury experience in Davos, in the middle of the Swiss mountain with 100 rooms, and all of it connected through with the DNA of the brand. And that's what's really amazing about the brand. No other brand can do that, and that's really part the unique way we develop the brand through the years. But also part of that is this amazing emotional connection that the brand has with different type of people. At the end of the day, if you're young at heart, you like music, you have a connection with the brand, and then depending on the market, depending on the theater market, the type of experiences that we're going to give, then we can actually customize, as Dale was saying, to that particular project.
How much fun is it to work at that brand?
We were talking about it today. So, both of us, and coming out of traditional hospitality, myself even more so than Andrea, because I sort of grew up at Hyatt, started as a roommate in 1985, and went with Ritz-Carlton and was the suited and booted class every day of my life.
Suited and booted?
Yeah, every day. It's like, oh, my goodness, I don't miss that at all. So it's great because we always say at Hard Rock, you bring yourself to work. And we're looking for individuals who have this authenticity to them and really have a love of hospitality and of music at the same time, and have we use the word bandwidth a lot to be able to come in and take a dive down and say, okay, what are the element of music that we're going to amplify in this particular destination with the demo, be it a family audience or that boutique audience. My favorite hotel is our Hard Rock Hotel in Ibiza. Wow. That's a whole different movie there, right? You've got these massively high average rates, and people are coming with this EDM sort of bent. And the thought was, there's no families that come to Ibiza, but lo and behold, when we brought the Hard Rock brand, you still got that extraordinary EDM luxury sort of destination, but they bring a lot of kids with them, and so we got all of the families at Hard Rock, and we're having a good time.
I never thought I'd heard the word EDM, luxury, and kids all in the same.
Yeah,
sentence.
you got to go and check it out. It's sort of like a hand in glove.
It's funny because we did a show there, and I would never expected what you just said, because that's it. I actually said I don't think I need to come back, but now that you said what you just said about the Hard Rock, I may come back.
It's true. I got a chance to live there in that destination, and it's a lot to take while you're, if you have anything else to do, it's like for living besides EDM and stay out all night, it's pretty hard. But what's great about the Hard Rock in the middle of all of that is that we've got wonderful areas of respite, a great kids camp for the kids where the parents can go out and have a lot of fun, great food and beverage offerings. It's a lot more bandwidth again in that destination.
So I want you to put in perspective, because you both have incredible jobs I'm envious of. But when you walked in here, you both kind of hopped in here. You just looked happy, like happy guys. And we know people at your level doing the things that you do in our industry, you don't usually look happy. You look stressed out. You're on your cell phones. You're waiting for the next shoe to drop. But you came in here like you didn't have a care in the world, and like you guys ran beach clubs that you owned, and all you do all day long is drink and have fun. So,
well, they get to talk to you, Anthony. Of course they're happy.
So one of the things, so you should be really happy. So one of the things, explain what it is you do, each one of you, what you do on a daily basis. Like right now, you have a hotel. Let's back it up. Let's go to Atlantic City, okay? Ownership, we're opening up Atlantic City. What happens? What do you do?
Well, I think that from an Atlantic City, a project like that, we could literally spend 5 days talking about it. I mean, by the time you are understanding the effort required to leverage that kind of investment in a property that you own and operate in a gaming environment that's got the regulatory structure that you have in Atlantic City.
And then you did it in such incredible speed. I think it was like a year and a half.
Incredible speed. And ultimately that was really, part of the challenge was making sure that we got open for season in Atlantic City. And as we were talking about earlier, the design process is always a super important component of it. But I think to answer your question more broadly and back up from Atlantic City a bit, because at the end of the day, we're the hotel guys. And though we have gaming backgrounds and I help with the gaming aspect of it, we're the hospitality guys that deal with hotels. Okay. And what's going on in Hard Rock hotels all over the world is pretty nothing to take away from Atlantic City or the property that we're opening in Sacramento or some of the other properties I can't talk to you about.
What's the one that's going to be shaped like a guitar?
It's our Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood,
and
Florida.
That's still under construction right now.
It's still under construction. It'll be opening, let's say, October, November this year.
You almost caused me to crash into a pole because I was driving by not knowing what I was doing. Just recently, I don't know what I was doing. Anyway, I'm driving by, and I look up and go, oh, my God, and I almost crashed. I was like, that's a guitar. That must be a Hard Rock.
Yeah, it's a pretty big guitar. It's a $1 billion guitar, $1 billion custom guitar. But what I think the thing I like to talk about that we're up to is the perception of the brand as this global, huge 800-pound gorilla. When in reality, we're a very small group of ladies and gentlemen, to use my old Ritz-Carlton terms, building a hotel company. It's I talk about what happened at Hyatt in the 80s and what happened with Ritz-Carlton in the 90s is what's happening with Hard Rock now in this era, where we're building from the ground up this new hotel company and putting the team together. We're 27 now? 20. Well, how many franchise? So 25 franchise, 2 managed hotels, and the right. properties coming online in the future are all managed properties by and large. So we're becoming a management company, which is an extraordinarily exciting and fun thing to do. That's why we bounce into the room, because we're getting a chance to
but I
reinvent
want people to understand, especially people coming to the hospitality industry, to understand the job you just mentioned, your job seems so big. Like just so overwhelmingly big. What is your day like? Give me an example. I want to specific because people are always interested in what we do for a living and like what is your day like? So it's great you come to these conferences. It's great you open these great hotels. You have a great job, but like you come in at X amount of time, X time. You do this. How much are you traveling? Like I really want to know that.
I believe. I work all the time, right? I come to the office when I'm not traveling. I get in my car at 8 o'clock, and I go home when I get hungry, so 7:30. But we run a global hotel company, so when I get up at 4:30 to have my coffee, I'm conversing with our general manager in China. I'm checking my emails that came over the bulkhead in the middle of the evening. When you go home at night, your people are just waking up in parts of the world. So, you really are working all the time.
Why are you getting up at 4:30? That's crazy.
Well, that's my thing. I get up at 4:30 and go to the gym and have my life, because once 8 a.m. rolls around, right. I belong to the world. So I have a little bit, and so the few people that I interact with early in the morning. But you literally do work all the time. But it's not like work. It really is. And Andrea and I were talking about it today over lunch at the Polo Lounge, which was pretty amazing.
I was there last night. It's cool.
It's fabulous, isn't it? So, if you love what you do, and I know it's a cliche, you're never working, but if you get the privilege of doing the kind of work that we're doing, and the people that I work with and the team we're assembling, they're all my friends. I get on the phone with my friends.
Great.
It's great.
Yeah, I always find the amazing thing about this business is that we do get to do what we love all the time, and it's our social lives and our careers all simultaneous. So there is no distinction. So when people talk about that work-life-home balance, other than getting to spend time with my kids and my wife, I'm happy to be working all the time because it's such an energetic, positive business.
Well, it's such a privilege. It really is. I mean, it's really an extraordinary adventure to be able to do this thing called hospitality for a living, where you are in great hotels, you're in great restaurants. It's your job to go figure out the best nightclub and to know what all of the best offerings are in this space we call hospitality. I mean, come on, at the end of the day, if you get paid for it, it's a really great thing. So, but it does take a lot of time and effort.
So why don't you explain what your day looks like, and also for both of you.
He's the reason my job's so easy.
Okay. So let me talk to the person that does all the work. Go ahead.
Right. There you go. Talk to the guy that does all the work.
Actually, it's a very interesting question, and I think I'm going to answer in a way that is going to be a little cryptic, but the truth is that I think we love our job so much because we don't have 2 days alike. And that's what usually happens. I mean, tomorrow I have a pretty good idea what I'm going to do half of the day. The other half of the day is going to be taking care of things that probably I hadn't really 100% thought about today. And, the traveling, the human side of things, the culture that we have within ourselves as a team, it's something that is so unique that it's very difficult to say, my day, at 8 in the morning I do this. I, similar to Dale, wake up very early in the morning.
So it sounds energetic and exciting, but also kind of stressful not knowing what's going to be happening. And you may have like a long list of things to do, and can you even get to them all? All right.
The last time I was able to finish my to-do list in one day, I think it was 2010 or it was October 2010. Right, so, but it's
it's easy.
No, it's part. I mean, you have a lot of things to do, and then you prioritize. But I think,
of course,
and the key is making sure that you manage your time and your impact is in the most important things.
So, what's the skill that you think is the most important skill that you have that got you to this level of the business?
I think, first of all, the love to serve. I mean, we have pretty cliche, the love all, serve all, but I think you should never get into this business if you don't like people and you don't like to serve, or that you feel that serving is something degrading for you. That's sometime problem that you see in certain people that shouldn't be in the hospitality industry. I mean, we host. You come to my house, you come to Dale's house and everything. We love to have you around. We'll work all day to make sure that when you come in, you got the right music, the right vibe, the right energy, the right drinks, the right food. And that's something that we take pleasure, and I think it's key to get in the hospitality industry. Because you have to take pleasure in serving others. And that's what we still do every day. We laugh about that. There's one of our best GM that always says, never forget which side of the counter you're on. We are the host. We're not the guest. We're the host, and you have to take pleasure in that. The moment in which you just want to be the guest and you don't want to be the host, then probably you're losing.
And I've seen people in your positions get... That's funny you say that, because you say it in a subtle way, but there's so many people in our industry, in your positions, that forget, and they start taking, because you get a lot of things, right? You're in great hotels, you get to travel all over the world, and you're pampered a little bit. Even though you work your butt off, you're pampered. You're eating in the best restaurants, meeting the biggest celebrities in the world, the biggest musicians in the world. So what would you say is the biggest skill, or the most important skill that got you to your level?
Hands down, team building. And, my strength, or where my career blew up or grew up or came along, was in housekeeping. I started as a roommate.
When you said that, I was like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's everything. Because, I talk about my to-do list and what I have to do. Really, my job is to provide leadership and structure and support for an amazing team of a very small group, but a really amazing team of professionals. So my job, it's not to be the best revenue manager in the world. It's not to be the best general manager in the world. It's not to be the best marketing expert in the world. It's about finding out who those people are, supporting them,
The
knowing
best
that
facilitator.
That's right. And I always say, especially, I know I get a little these musical expressions, but I am not a musician. It's not my strong suit. I've never been a musician, but I'm a great conductor. So that's my role. I have to understand what it's supposed to sound like when everybody gets together and starts playing, and then I keep everyone on tempo and make sure that the music is amazing. So there's a lot of people in the industry that are specialists, and there's a great spot for all of those people in our organization because you need specialists. But that's not what I do, and that's not what Andrea does.
So you feel you're like head coach.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the biggest difference outside the obvious between a Ritz Carlton and a Hard Rock?
I mean, to me, the biggest difference is, I touched on it earlier, is you bring yourself to work. And what our customers are coming in for is that authentic experience that rocks. And it's not something that is scripted. It isn't anything you're going to get out of an SOP book. You are going to, each one, it's harder. Because each one of these experiences, our Hard Rock hotels, are bespoke to the destination that they are in. The memorabilia is different. The playlist is different. The customers are different. The uniforms are different. The recipes are different. The restaurants are different. The guest rooms are different. The amenities are different. Everything in China is completely different than in Orlando.
So how is it the same at the same time? Because then we're really just talking about
music is what
feeling.
unifies humanity. I mean,
Right.
since you came out of the caves, you thump, thump, thump on a rock, and everybody starts dancing. So,
Right.
Music is that unifying principle, the universal indicator.
You know, it's interesting. I
Yeah.
haven't met too many rock stars in my life, and last night I was at the Polo Lounge, and I was coming out, and I saw the bass player for Queen.
Oh, right. He was here for the Academy Awards.
Right, and I don't get starstruck. Listen, we all met a billion celebrities. I was like, I literally jumped out of my seat to go get a picture with him, which I've never done.
That's awesome.
Colin Powell's the only person I've ever done that for before at the Plaza Hotel when he was going to run for president. And I jumped out of my seat, and he was with his family or his wife or whoever he was with, and it just seemed it wasn't the right thing to do, so I didn't take the picture. So what is the coolest piece of memorabilia you've ever seen that you would like, oh, I would love to own that? And who's the coolest rock star you've ever met?
Wait, before you answer that
We gotta
question,
go to break.
we got to take a quick break. Hang around because we're going to get the answer just after this. Hey everybody, Glenn here. So listen to this. Cobblestone Hotels is celebrating their 10th anniversary, and man, have they accomplished a lot in the last decade. Already they have more than 150 hotels throughout the United States, but they're in smaller and medium-sized markets. Those markets that the big franchise companies, they're underserving, they're overlooking, and in some cases just ignoring. But Cobblestone is an expert in these markets. And their president and CEO, Brian Wagernes, listen, I've gotten to know him in the last 10 years, and he has worked every job possible, including being an owner and operator. I can personally vouch for how awesome this company is, how awesome he is as an individual, because he understands the importance of finding the right combination of hotel brand and franchise owner. He's also an incredibly dedicated professional. Whether it's a Cobblestone Hotel and Suites Main Street design, Borders Inn and Suites, or one of the newly acquired brands such as Boulders Inn and Suites, Key West Inns, Centerstone Inns and Suites, Cobblestone has brands that range from economy to upper mid-tier, and one that's right for you. Quite simply, Cobblestone Hotels is the franchise for franchise owners. Patrick Mullenix, well, he's Cobblestone's new president of franchise development. Give him a call or check out their website at cobblestonefranchising.com. But give Patrick a call. He's a great guy. I've known him for a really, really long time, too. You can find him at 920-216-0620. That's cobblestonefranchising.com. And tell him Glenn sent you. All right, and we are back. All right, so what is the coolest piece of memorabilia that you've ever seen, guys?
All right, well, I have a favorite piece of memorabilia, and I saw it in the Memo Warehouse like a decade ago, maybe 15 years ago. And it was this crazy, overly frilly lamp that came from Elvis Presley, from Graceland, Elvis Presley's Graceland mansion. And I just thought, that's so funny that something that girly would come out of Elvis Presley's mansion. And I kept my eye on it for years and years and years, and it finally showed up in the Hard Rock, one of the Hard Rock hotels. I was like, oh, there's my lamp, my Elvis lamp. I love that. That's so cool. And then my favorite, I have a great sort of rock and roll story. But when I was the GM at Atlantis, I got.
Oh, you were GM Atlantis?
Yes, I built Phase 2.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was one of my big gigs.
Did you work with Jerry?
Of course,
Okay.
that's why I'm here. Yeah,
Okay.
I was. Jerry was a mentor of mine, and really happy to still call him a friend. And
Jerry Inzerillo, you're referring to?
Jerry
Inzerillo,
Inzerillo, who used to be CEO of Forbes. Him and I basically grew up in the same block together.
Okay.
Worked in the same places together, and we just met last year for the first time. And I said to him, "I'm going to mention the name to you, and only a few people from my neighborhood know this guy." And he was like the king of the neighborhood, but you don't really mention his name unless you know. So I mentioned his name. He goes, "You mean Uncle Tony?" So me and
Jerry Inzerillo knows every human being on the planet. It really doesn't matter, and he knows them personally.
It blew me away.
Mandela, Michael Jackson. It was an amazing opportunity to work with Jerry and be his friend. But we had U2 on the island at the time when the concert in New York was happening, and we just didn't have the channel anywhere at either Atlantis or the Ocean Club where the band could watch the concert, and they really wanted to. Well, I happened to have that channel at my house, so I had the entire band, their entire family at my house.
U2?
Yeah, the whole band
That's awesome.
In my 1,200 square foot apartment. And if you remember that concert, it was meant to be like 90 minutes or 2 hours long. So I didn't even want to see them. I was just like, "You're welcome," because I'm not a big celebrity chaser, right? So I'm like, no, you're welcome to have it. We catered it, and I was going to leave before they got there and come home after they left, and they wouldn't agree. At least you have to let us say hello. So I said them hello. I greeted everybody, and then I went away for what was meant to be the entire time that they were there. Well, if you remember the concert, it wasn't 2 hours. It was like 4.5 hours. So when I came back, I got to sit in between the Edge and Bono watching the last part of the concert in New York while Bono ran beers for me out of my kitchen sink. It was a pretty good story.
Listen, that's what's so great about hospitality. Nobody gets those stories.
Yeah, you're just in the right place at the right time. And I always say, come from a place of yes, and you'll be amazed at what you can experience in life.
Yeah, so Andrea, what about you?
Well, I have a couple of pieces of memorabilia. We have over 80,000, so it's not easy to choose. But there's one that always struck me. We're in LA, the leather pants of Jim Morrison. There was a big one, the one that he wore at the Hollywood Bowl. But the one
where are those now?
They actually are in New York at the Hard Rock Cafe. I saw them when they were stealing the memorabilia, and I touched them and everything. He was a skinny guy. I could have worn them. But then the one that rightfully so has been taken away from the CEO room, that is an amazing piece, is the handwritten lyrics of Imagine from John Lennon.
Whoa.
And those are, with correction and everything. And those are the things that, you look at those lyrics and you just start shivering. And they are, they finally were moved from, they're actually in Atlantic City, I think.
They are.
Yeah. They went from the CEO office. We said, why are they there? Everybody should, this is something that everybody should see. So, and on the story side, I've loved always these great stars, especially rock stars that are very humble. And I had the privilege to serve Peter Gabriel a number of times when he used to come to our properties. And one of the coolest guy, he would come around the front office and ask people about their private life. He would never get the room before his team and his band. If any of the rooms of his band weren't ready, he would wait for them. So that kind of real human being that I think you could do whatever you want. You're a god. You're Peter Gabriel, and they just take the time to be kind, which is another one of our.
And it really doesn't cost anything to be kind, but that is a cool story. So one of the things I'd like to ask you, because the memorabilia of Hard Rock is it's a life beyond. It's an industry. How you're going to build a hotel? I always wondered this. You're going to build a hotel. Take New Jersey, Atlantic City. How does that work? How does the designer and the memorabilia and the access, how does it all work?
First, you find a hotel that a guy couldn't manage to be successful in Atlantic City and go bankrupt.
I was going to say, we're not going to talk about Atlantic City anymore.
No, we're
going to talk about generic hotel project,
right?
Please.
So what I'm trying to do before Glenn rudely interrupted me is I'm gonna.
That's my move, man.
No, so tell me the process, because from security to coordination to accountability for that stuff to a designer having a design in their head and then connecting it to a piece of memorabilia. How's that work?
Yeah, I always say the only true path to genius is through collaboration. And so each one of our hotel projects is a unique snowflake. And we have different owners in different markets, and we are serving different clients. And so the way that the memorabilia is woven into each of these projects is conditional upon all of those unique attributes. But we have an entire team that...
What do you mean by that? I don't think I get that.
Meaning, well, an owner, for example, in China, we have an owner that has a very specific point of view on what memorabilia means to him. Keep in mind, no one is relevant in China before Michael Jackson. They don't know who anyone in music was before Michael Jackson. Nobody. And they don't care about him because it didn't exist in China before then. So we may think the Rolling Stones or the Beatles or, Jerry Lee Lewis or some of these people are really relevant and mean. If they don't care, they don't know who they are. So none of that goes in. Then there are particular artists that are out of Taiwan that when you're doing your research about Asian music, then you can't use any of that memorabilia.
Right. Politics.
Yeah. And so you get politics. And so it's a very interesting dance, if you will.
Can you include K-pop? Tell me you can at least do that.
K-pop is big.
Okay.
K-pop is big, but you also have to be very careful. Madonna exists within the zeitgeist of China, but she can't be imported because how controversial she was when she became famous in China, because that was during the period of the time with the crucifixes and all of the things like that. So we had an impossible time getting her memorabilia in. So it really is, and so you really got to do your homework on what the culture is and the story is that you're trying to tell to the audience. So we have a great owner in Budapest, in Hungary. He's a great guy. He's very cool, knows a lot about the music, and so very interested in collaborating, and with a great interior design firm out of Barcelona. And our memo team really dove in, and we were able to create a really unique story for that property. So each one of the properties is we don't always work with the same individual within our memo team. We don't always work with the same interior designer. We were looking with Lazaro in Budapest and work with Jeffrey Beers in New York. Obviously, you're telling a very different story in New York than you're telling in Budapest, Hungary. And so we also sometimes determine, well, we have to have this piece of memorabilia. This is the story we're telling, and we don't have it. So we have a process whereby we'll go out and collect and procure specifically for design intent for the memorabilia that we're building out.
That was my next question. Yeah. So you'll actually go and buy it?
We do. We buy. It's a big part of our business. Is memo acquisition is a big, large budget, and they have an entire team that are experts at valuing and participating in either private acquisition, estate acquisition, or through the auctions and things of that nature. Because it's a big part of our business.
And then you have a huge warehouse of all of these goods, and I know you could take them in and out and rotate stuff around the world.
We do that. Yeah.
Yeah, at any given time, we have about 25,000 pieces in the memorabilia warehouse.
I feel like you should open that up to the public. You can make some money off that, too.
We bring in very selected VIPs. I think they probably qualify this, too.
Yeah,
what do you think, Dale?
Anthony's raising his hand. He wants to be a selected VIP.
It is. We go there quite often.
Now Hollywood, Florida.
We just moved it to Hollywood, Florida.
I will.
And let me tell you, I mean, we all go in time by time, and we've been with the Hard Rock forever. I've been past 14 years. You've been even longer. And every time we go in, there's shivering. I mean, you see stuff because it's always refreshing.
I have a special friend, a doctor, who is just a crazy musician. And so I'm going to take you up on that. I'm going to, after this podcast, ask how I get in contact with you, because I would love to take him there and bring him through that, because he would just absolutely love it. So let me ask you a question. What's the one piece of memorabilia that you went after and you just couldn't acquire because the person was like, no? Is there one thing that stands out?
Of course. I got a lot of stories. I happen to be a big fan of the blues, Mississippi blues. And there's an iconic juke joint, as we say in Mississippi, called Po Monkeys, and out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a cotton field, and it's been around forever. I mean, 70, 80 years, and it went up. It closed, and they could no longer keep it open. I think the family finally retired, and it went up for auction. And so I specifically told the memo team, you've got to go and get all of this memorabilia, because we'll build a nightclub out of it. We'll bring it into one of our big gaming operations. We can do a whole thing around it. And I wasn't the only one in the world that went after it. I mean, it was just impossible. The bidding on it went so high. We look at it as a business, and we know what the valuation should be. And if you get people in the room with a passion for it that have and pretty much people in the Delta of Mississippi, landed gentry, unlimited budgets.
Right, and they have an emotional connection to it.
And they got more money than we did, so they bought it.
They bought it.
They bought it, yeah. For about twice what we were willing to, the highest bid.
All right, so we've been talking a lot about Hard Rock this whole time, but that's not the only the arrow that you have in your quivers. A year and a half ago, you announced the Reverb brand. I'm curious as to what's going on with that. It's more, as far as I understand, it's more not for the big cities. It's more of a select service type of a model type property, really appealing towards the everyday traveler in smaller markets. Am I right? And where are we at with that right now?
Now I feel like I'm monopolizing because so Reverb is our select service offering, and really it could be for big cities as well. And really, it's about the idea of a smaller investment and smaller property. They're more nimble, so they could be in college campuses, they could be in second-tier cities, they could be in a city like New Orleans or New York where we already have a flagship.
Right, and with smart elements such as having the check-in desk, the person's also the barista,
absolutely.
That sort of stuff.
We like to call it will call. That's check-in at Reverb. And we're carrying some of our brand elements over so that our customers from core brand have some familiarity with it. So our constant grind coffee bar, which is part of the barista experience, that on the contiguous to that is the will call.
Will you see memorabilia in this hotel?
No, I was about to say that we wanted to create a distinction between the two brands so that it wasn't just a Hard Rock Light, because that really wouldn't be doing a service to either one. So what we decided is that Hard Rock core brand is all about celebrating the icons, and Reverb is about celebrating the fans. So we're turning the mirror around.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
that's a great point of view.
Yeah, it's a really cool way and a cool filter for us to have used to deal with the brand experience. And
so how does that inform the brand experience by celebrating the fans? What does that practically mean when I'm staying at one of these hotels?
What it means is like a great concert, right? One of our core objectives is to drive social collision and create those environments where the communal areas of the Reverb hotels they've got a really cool soundtrack to them, a little more background, if you will, than a core brand. We create these opportunities for people to socialize and mix.
But you also want people kind of doing the co-working thing there, right?
That was the next thing, is sort of, WeWork really revolutionized what was going on in the office space. So there's an element of that where the meeting space in a Reverb hotel has the flexibility to basically be a living room. Unlike this meeting room, if it's not being used, it's flung open to the lobby, and you can be in there with your laptop, or you can be in there playing cards, you could be in there having a cocktail. And we also have Reverb Radio, which is another really cool element.
Ooh, that is cool.
So we have a special room set up for podcasts, because I happen to be a podcast fanatic. I spend as many waking hours as possible listening to podcasts. So you guys will be able to come into any Reverb hotel in the world and sit down and do your podcast.
I like
When
that.
is your first Reverb opening?
It's opening in Atlanta in 2020. So
2020. So we'll be there the first day, and we'll do our podcast.
I think so, yeah. Let's do a launch party.
Yeah, it'll be great. We're going to have a lot of fun with the Reverb Radio. So.
Wow, that's fascinating. I'd never heard. I didn't know about that brand. That's why I hang out with you, Glenn.
Yeah, well, it's pretty cool. It made its debut at the NYU Hospitality Investment Conference in the summer of 2017.
I don't go to, Glenn. Sorry, I'm not as cool as you are.
Yeah, well, maybe one day. I remember it was a great event because they had sushi there. So
we did have sushi.
So, an employee at a Hard Rock, an employee at a traditional hotel, same or different?
Ooh, very. Well, there are some similarity for sure, but the biggest difference is the culture that is created in the back of the house. One of the things that has allowed the brand for 49 years now almost to be that successful is, without any doubt, is the front line. Is the stuff that has bought into the brand in a way that is very, very difficult to do anywhere else. Because the brand comes with the strong emotional connection, the philanthropy behind it, the music elements, the mottos, which I'm sure you are familiar with, the 4 mottos. If you don't know them, we'll leave the podcast now. But, take time to be kind. Love all, serve all is one, save the planet. We really take that at heart, and the whole staff, the whole team and everything takes them at heart.
So some employees are actually drawn to that, and that's why they'll interview.
We end up, it's really amazing. You should would see our job fairs, because we end up attractive people that wouldn't work normally in the hospitality industry, and that's the unique thing about it.
So a lot of tight jeans, lots of facial hair, all of those kinds of people can come and apply.
We have the quid pro quo is we're going to let you be yourself within certain guardrail, so have a plan. And we have guardrails, especially depending on the type of job you have. We push the envelope more than probably any brand out there, but also we make sure, and we call it the price of admission, one of the things that we take a lot of pride in what we do. Price of admission amplifier. You have to have the basics of a great hospitality industry host to then be able to have all the twist of the brand that makes it unique.
And then you're allowed to be free. And one of the things I talk about a lot is I think it's not only in Hard Rock, but and you guys are in the front row of this, but I don't care if you run a car company, I don't care if you run a hotel business, I don't care what you run. In the next 5 years, within the next 5 years, if you're not giving people freedom, if you're not giving people come as you are, if you're not allowing people to be who they are, one of the greatest things that I've ever been given in this industry is freedom. I've been able to work for independent owners that have screwed things up usually, and they call me in and they go like, Anthony, fix it. That's the greatest place to be, because it's like I've already had the stunt doubles. Okay, so they did everything maybe I would have done, but now I go in and they're like, fix me, please. And like, I there's no rules, and get out of my way. So I've had so much fun in this industry having no rules. I had to come as I am, and I was able to just do it, not so much my way, but my team's way. And the greatest gift I've ever been given was by Dave Johnstone from Miller Global, who said to me, "Don't ask for forgiveness, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness."
Oh, we use that one a lot.
Well, you have to when you're growing.
That a lot, right?
When you're growing so fast. But it comes down to what you were saying, come as you are. But at the end of the day, the core, the only way you can come as you are, the only way we can give you the responsibility, the only way that you can play with us and hang out with us is you have to get the basics. And if you don't get the basics, you're never going to get the other things. But once you get the basics, the other stuff's easy.
Yeah, I think that what Andrea was talking about is you wouldn't bring yourself to work. Sometimes that means you've got a red mohawk. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it means you just wear a weird sweater, right? Mm-hmm. So you can get somebody that's preppy and they're bringing that to work, mm-hmm. and you've got a punk rocker and they're bringing that to work. But as long as they're bringing themselves and their authentic self, mm-hmm. the customers know that.
And that's
they
music.
Experience that. And that is music.
And that's, and that's what we hear a lot in hospitality. It's all about authenticity. And by allowing your people to be truly who they are, they're able to create a better hospitality experience for
Absolutely.
customers.
But almost
Absolutely.
nobody does it. I've been doing this for a long time.
Right.
It's hard.
You cannot tell me, and I won't use brands, some you've worked for, you cannot tell me in some of these brands, especially the 4- or 5-star brands, that, I'm not saying now, because a lot of them have changed, but in the last 20 years when I was growing up in this industry, that you could be who you are.
Right.
You absolutely couldn't be.
If you want your opinion, we'll give it to you.
That's absolutely correct. I'm very happy that it's evolved, and one of the joys of being with Hard Rock Hotels is that we give that permission and we look to bring that more to life and let the kids amplify who they are.
We have some great stories of some of the properties that we actually converted from a brand to another, especially the one in Mexico and in Punta Cana, where you had really rock stars employees that couldn't be those rock stars employees because how many guardrails and standards they had to follow in the script. My pleasure, my pleasure, my pleasure. When we came in and
So you change it from my pleasure to no problem.
Yeah.
And we unleashed them. I mean, you should see. You really felt like these people were set free. And next thing you know, they're number one on TripAdvisor. They're dominating the market from a service standpoint because not only they had the basics, but now they could really talk to the guests in a way that they were not allowed to do before.
And it becomes a bigger responsibility for all of us, and you're in positions where you have to hire right. Because it's dangerous to start giving people this freedom and come as you are and allow them this freedom. So you have to really put a lot of time and energy into the hiring process, which I find most companies don't do.
We have a very unique perspective on that, and I 100% agree with you. We will wait to fill a position and I literally just filled one of the key leadership positions in the company. It took me 14 months to find the right person, because exactly what you say, if you are empowering and as well a small group of people, which most hotels are, you've got to get the right people.
And when you met that person, I'm going to take a guess in my brain and see if we're right. How long before you met that person did you know that was the right fit?
I knew it immediately.
3 seconds.
Yeah, because you've got the sort of the foundation of, do they have the experience and the history, and we do psychographic testing, so we understand how to construct our teams, that they got the right basic talent set.
So talk about that. Go back to that system you just said. Explain that.
Well, I'm a big fan. I grew up with what was the one with Talent Plus at Ritz-Carlton, and with them we now use Predictive Index, which is a much more cost-effective, super targeted, very easy.
Could you explain that for our listeners if they don't know what
Talent?
Well, that's what I asked them to do. If you weren't playing on your phone, you would have heard it.
My wife is texting me, and I had no choice but to look. I try really hard to put it away, but thanks for busting me.
What Predictive Index does, it's actually invented by the U.S. government for getting fighter pilots that were more likely to return flying the plane than crashing it over the site. So it's been around a long, long time. And what it looks for is 5 key characteristics: leadership. Do you like being with people or not? Are you patient? Are you impatient? Are you data or detail driven? Are you empathetic? And what level of energy do you have? Those of us in hospitality, you got to be very energetic. And you don't need everybody to be like me. You don't need everybody to be in charge. You need some people that are willing to serve, some people that are willing to lead, some people that are comfortable being out in front, some people that are okay sitting at their desk doing analytics. You got to have people that are impatient and driven, and sometimes you need people to be very patient and not driven, and sometimes you need so it's all these different elements that make up a team. And depending upon the position or the complexion of the team, you may have a general manager that's amazing, but not that strong in data and detail. And so when you're looking for their number 2, you'll specifically go and farm for that characteristic. So you build a team. You're not just hiring an individual. In the hospitality space specifically, you're building a team. And if you begin with the understanding that it's a puzzle of characteristics and talent that create world-class breakthrough results, and you have a tool that helps you get there, a little bit of behavioral interviewing, you'll be able to really do these amazing things. And that's our approach. And it's produced amazing results for us and continues to do so.
And it keeps people out of pain, because too many people go into positions that they think they want and they realize they don't have the skill set, and they're in pain.
That's true.
And I've seen it. And I am a big believer. Once I got a Predictive Index years and years ago, I think it was for the Algonquin Hotel as general manager, I was blown away at how accurate it was. Absolutely blown away. And one of the things that surprised me was, as extreme as my personality seems, I'm very much in the middle of almost everything. I'm really patient and I'm really impatient all at the same time. So I'm not extreme on either one.
But I bet your graph is really wide.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Because you've got a charismatic personality. Whatever your character, you express them right. Mine's pretty wide. So.
Yeah. So I just find this conversation.
Certainly, but we do have to get have to get wrapping up soon, because tonight everybody's got to get all gussied up and all fancy. So we like to wrap up every show with one final question. Tell us something you don't know. It could be professional, it could be personal, it could be whatever it is. I feel, Andrea, you are nodding very affirmatively. I know that means you're probably scared to answer the question, but go for it.
Do you want to start or I start?
No.
And don't make it boring about business. Make it fun about you.
Can I call my
embarrass yourself?
Can I call my lawyer first? No, there's a few things that people don't know, but I love languages, so I speak a few, but I can do a pretty amazing impersonation of French people speaking English, and it became so good that now when I speak English, a lot of people think that I'm French.
Interesting. I loved your face. It's like, please don't do it on the mic. Human resources.
It's like when the guy was going to do the moonwalk.
Dale, what about you?
I guess something you don't know is in 5 years' time, Hard Rock Hotels is going to be one of the leaders in the hospitality space, and we're just getting started. And what we know that you don't is all of the deals that have been signed and all the magic that's coming and the momentum that is behind this amazing brand, and we're really excited.
Okay,
to be.
I'm going to call BS and say I want to know something about you. Go.
Oh, about me?
Yes.
Something you don't know about me. Oh, I'm an expert marksman, and I can skeet shoot with a 22 and shoot the hole out of the skeet without breaking it in half.
Wow.
I was there.
Why? How? How?
Speaking in a French accent.
It's because I'm from L.A. You know? I fish in the summer and we hunt in the winter. So.
But that's funny because that's kind of what you do in the industry, right? You got to just be exact all the time, right?
Exactly.
So ask me the question.
All right, Anthony, tell me something I don't know about you.
I walked into the Hard Rock. You're open maybe a day, 2 days. Pitbull was your opening act. Being a hotel guy, I'm going right to the top floor, and I'm going to find out what you guys got in these big suites. So now you guys are still opening. There's still furniture going in.
I was up there hanging putting the TVs in.
Right.
Yeah.
So I walk into the suite, I'm walking around, and all of a sudden you had like 2 or 3 look like managers dealing with breakfast room service. So I know where that's going. And I've been told 100 times. Matter of fact, I have a picture with Pitbull a couple weeks ago that I actually had the Pitbull glasses with me in case I saw him at this event, and I was going to throw them on, but I happened to go to the bathroom and I left the glasses with my wife. So I have a picture of me and him without the glasses, and we still look alike. So I was like, I'm going to go into Pitbull's room and make plenty of Pitbull. So I go upstairs and immediately...
You don't want to do that in a gaming environment. We'll hurt you.
No. So I go up. I get up on the floor. It was an open floor. And I think his suite was to the left, if I'm not mistaken. And there was like 3 people making sure this room service is perfect. Right? Everybody looked a little nervous. And there was one lady that comes and goes, how can I help you? And I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, just looking around. What a beautiful hotel you have. And she's like, thank you. And she did not leave until she knew I was off that floor. She was very respectful. And I was just like, I want to see Pitbull. but it was just like seeing a hotel open and you have Pitbull the first day. And to see the managers making a big deal about their room service and to have the other managers sitting there like the security police, like, where are you going? It's just like, that's what's great about this business. It's like, man, it's everything. You're having one of the biggest singers in the world open your hotel. And then you're a manager, and like, you know, a week ago you were working maybe in a completely different environment. You've never met a star, and all of a sudden you're wheeling room service into his room. I find it absolutely fascinating, and what we do, and thank you for bringing what you're doing to life, because it makes what we do so much more fun to watch it, to see it. So I did want to ask you a question before I ask Glenn something I don't know, because I don't really care. But anyway, in Hollywood, the Qatar. It's the first hotel that's going to be the ship of Qatar, correct? When did that happen? Whose idea was it? And what was that process in 30 seconds or less?
Our chairman, Jim Allen, he basically came up with the idea 5, 6, 7 years ago, and has really held on to the idea, and working with WATG and really talented, great designers, finally came up with his vision of what it was going to be. It's not a cheap thing to build. It's not an easy thing to engineer, but again, persistence and just sticking with it. That was our chairman, Jim Allen's vision.
And by the way, you don't even know what's going to happen once it's open. Everything around it is like a screen. So you don't want to drive in that area at the very beginning.
Every piece of glass is a television. I mean, it'll be fully 3D, 360-degree graphics. It's going to be amazing.
Wow. Sounds terrific.
Tell us
Can't
something
wait.
we don't know about you.
I will stick to the Hard Rock motif. I think the coolest experience that I ever had at the Hard Rock was getting to see Snoop Dogg play live. And because I was lucky, I knew the head of PR. We had a cabana and bottle service, and
Awesome.
It was just...
I wish I was hanging out with you.
It was such a freaking awesome night. Except getting into the venue was the worst security that I've ever seen. And by worst, I mean absolute best, because nobody could bring in anything fun to enhance their experience that night. That's for sure. Thank God for the bottle service.
So before we let you go, and one more question. Because cannabis now looks like it's going to be legalized federally in this country, is there any talks about what you're doing in your company? I know Margaritaville's coming up with a division of cannabis. I don't know exactly how they're doing. Is there any talk about that?
other than we would never do it. I mean, as a gaming company at our core, we're very tightly regulated, and the idea of what everybody else does is fine, but being in the gaming space, that really is anathema to sort of the regulatory framework that we operate in.
So even if it's legal in California,
it's federal. We are specifically in the state of Florida. We're a federally recognized tribe with sovereign status that flows from the federal government, and so therefore we want to make sure we're always.
That will never happen.
Yeah, it's just not who we are as an organization. We'll let other people do it happily. It's just not a business we're interested in.
That's interesting.
It's good because otherwise they'd have to change the name of the music venues from the Joint to their hotels. So
you are so funny.
I know.
Then I forgot to laugh.
It's about time you appreciate it. Oh wait,
So,
you're
Glenn,
not
where can we
appreciating
find
it,
you, buddy?
All right. First, let's ask them. Shameless plug, gentlemen. Tell us anything you want about Hard Rock in a great pluggy way to get people to come visit.
Well, come visit us in April or May this year. We're opening the Hard Rock Hotel in London at Marble Arch, the old Cumberland Hotel, 900 bedrooms, so room for everybody. Come and visit.
Beautiful. I'll be there, and I'm coming to London in July. I'll make sure I get there.
My card.
And if you would love to go to the Maldives and feel the energy of hard rock, we're opening the one very soon to
July.
July.
Where's that?
In the Maldives.
The Maldives.
Oh,
in the Indian Ocean.
One day I will get to the Maldives and stay in one of those cool bungalows.
So you know
hovering
what it
over
seems
water.
like? Every time they open the hotel to get their team riled up, they seem like they need a keynote speaker.
Yeah, I know.
come.
Thank you for
Or-
suggesting me.
Or two.
I think we should have a tradition of podcasting all of our GOPs. You guys should be part of it.
I think so,
I've said
too.
it on the air. It's
Hey,
live
excellent.
now.
Wow.
Well, in the state of California, that's legally binding.
That's right. Are we in California?
One of the great things about the podcast is I was listening to our last podcast. I'm driving or whatever, and sometimes I almost do it just as a duty that I have to listen to it because I know what it sounds like because I was there. I was listening to it and I was cracking up, and I was there. And I was like, you said something or whatever. We're talking about your plumbing issues. He has plumbing problems with hotels, and it was just funny what he was talking about. It was very so. We would love to come and we would love to have fun and we would love to be able to be part of that experience. But again, thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you guys tonight. And I don't know if you're going to be in the session tomorrow in the morning. You'll be there. I'm going to be the moderator, so hopefully I don't screw up too bad.
Great. And for all of you listening, the session they're talking about took place a couple of weeks ago. So just
And
ignore
once
that
again,
part.
I did a great job.
You did an amazing job. I'm really impressed that you did such a great job on this one.
I'm going to fall off the stage tomorrow.
And I assure you that at Future Hard Rocks, there will be no plumbing problems, so don't worry about that. I've got serious plumbing problems at home. If you've ever had teenagers, you know exactly what I'm talking about, everyone out there. So, for Andrea, Dale, Anthony, and myself, Glenn, thanks for checking in.
It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn.